Welcome, folks, to Regen Network's community call. It's March 2nd. Lots of stuff happening out there, both in the Regen sphere and more broadly. So I'll get cracking. We usually like to keep this to 15 minutes if we can of news, and then we can talk about what's moving. And people can discuss, ask questions, etc. So, all right, I'll just get going. All right, so Regen Ledger 3.0 is on the way, which is exciting. So if you haven't already voted, go vote. This is in the scheme of what we're shipping over the next few months, this is pretty small, but mighty. A small but mighty upgrade. And the big takeaway is that this is going to make eco credits IBC compatible. So this is a function to convert eco credits into IBC tokens, essentially, with a filter mechanism, so they can also become more liquid and fungible. So this is a big, exciting upgrade and is going to pave the path, as folks will see a little bit later, for launching the nature-based carbon ton. Working with some osmosis community members, you'll start to see governance proposals go live, and there should be an NCT Regen trading pair over on osmosis sometime not too long after we launch Regen Ledger 3.0. So that's happening March 14th, I think. Ryan, do you want to say anything else about Regen Ledger 3.0 from a technical perspective?
Yeah, sure. So what's happening here is we're basically adding this basket functionality to the existing eco credit module. So this is in addition to the eco credit module, will now support the ability for people to basically create these baskets that have like a defined criteria. So previously with the eco credit module, credits were only fungible with other credits from the same batch. But this provides an opportunity for people to create baskets that have a defined criteria that will allow for credits to be fully fungible with other credits from different batches and different credit classes. And as Gregory mentioned, the most exciting part of this is that we're using the bank module within the SDK. So these basket tokens that can be redeemed are fully transferable over IBC, and they'll show up in your Kepler wallet. But yeah, the idea here too is to make these credits fully fungible, so that when you receive a basket token, you can also then redeem it back for an eco credit, and that eco credit can then be retired and consumed as an offset. So at the bottom of this slide, there's a link to the RFC, or actually this is the link to the governance proposal that includes a link to the RFC. The initial v3.0 implementation of the basket functionality is minimum viable implementation. So this means that there are a couple things that we would like to include with the basket functionality in the future, supporting additional filter criteria, and but this current implementation supports the minimum viable functionality that we want in order to get basket functionality implemented, and to make these basket tokens available in liquidity pools, as Gregory mentioned as well. So yeah, if you have any further questions, or if you have time to check out this full specification, and yeah, feel free to do so and to follow up with any questions that you have.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, so interfaces dev team update. Sam, you want to take this one?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're kind of at a really exciting moment with tracking information on the ledger, right? So right now we have eco credits. Associated with eco credits, you have credit batch information, you have credit class information, and with 4.0, we're going to have project information. But now we have the baskets, right? With 3.0 and with the baskets, there's going to be associated information there. And so Right now, what we're really focused on is building interfaces that read information off the ledger into kind of a user-friendly format that allows you to, do the certain functionalities associated with the EcoCredit and basket module. So, you can go in, you can see the credit class pages, all of the metadata that's tracked there. Same with credit batch. You can see what when a credit batch was issued, all the associated metadata with it, and then we can actually see the transactions happening with credit batches. So, who's trading credit batches, who's retiring them, when are they getting put into the basket? And so kind of we have, the project pages and basket pages also, which have, more metadata and also, credit batches associated with those projects or with those baskets. And then, the really exciting thing too is we're creating this eco credit portfolio where, when you purchase eco credits, you can actually see your portfolio with the different eco credits you have, all the information about that, all the basket tokens you have, your retirements, things like that. And, kind of tying all this together is our metadata specification and IRI generation for all of this information. And so kind of how we're doing this is we're tracking all of the information using RDF, Resource Description Framework, to kind of create this knowledge graph of information associated with all of these. And so, pretty much every piece of information on the ledger in the metadata will be, we'll generate an IRI for that and kind of have a REST endpoint for people to be able to query and look at all of this information in a more machine readable way. Yeah, so that's kind of all I have there.
Exciting. Thanks, Sam. And for those of you who don't know, Sam has stepped up to be the PM for our interfaces team. So he's rocking that in addition to all the fantastic work he's doing on the science and registry side. So and thanks for the rundown there, Sam. It's super exciting, and just to sort of this concept of the front end kind of block explorer and the rich data that we're working to present to users related to ecological assets. It's just really exciting, the intersection between the blockchain and the user interface. Super exciting. Sam, is this you as well? Do a quick
yeah, this is me. So switching hats, kind of moving to the registry program. So, for this quarter, we had two pretty concrete objectives for what we wanted to achieve by the end of March. And the first is updating our program guide. And so kind of with the opening of our ecosystem and, the permissionless approach to creating credit classes and methodologies and the flexible kind of context specific method for, project development and creating agreements around ecological state. We were doing a significant upgrade to our program guide, which before read more like one of the legacy registry program guides, where it's like, if you want to participate in this program, these are the requirements you have to adhere to for monitoring, reporting, verification. But now, we're shifting towards, you can lean on these different programs and these different frameworks, but it's not a requirement. And so it's more of a guide of how do you create credit classes? How do you create methodologies? How do you get those peer reviewed? How do you involve different stakeholders in the process? And so, part of this upgrade, we're migrating it to Gitbook to allow more GitHub integration and version control. Like I said, we're updating the content. And then we're really focusing in on these how-tos to make it a little bit more clear of how you can engage as in different actors. And then the other main thing that the registry program is focusing on this quarter is creating an external facing roadmap of all the methodologies and projects we have being built on through the Regen Registry program. And we want to do this to provide some transparency and insight into what's being built, but then also to facilitate collaboration. And so we're using Notion as kind of our no-code solution for project method developers, monitoring service providers to create their own cards, outlining what they're doing, who they are, how they'd like to contribute to the ecosystem, and also like what needs they might have. And this has already proven pretty successful in facilitating collaboration between different stakeholders who are working on kind of similar things. And so right now, this is kind of in development. It's public for people that are, creating their own cards, but we'll hope to have a full release by the end of the month.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. All right. Ryan, I think this might be back to you. Do you want to talk about Redwood testnet upgrade?
Yeah, myself or Dan. Dan can chime in as well, but essentially we're planning a Redwood upgrade. Redwood is our stable test network, and this is something that will happen within the next few days. And any validators that are interested in participating in the upgrade process, a kind of dress rehearsal before doing it on the live network, has an opportunity here to do so. And the instructions for the upgrade are now live on the documentation website. You can see the v3.0 upgrade link there. We do have a snapshot available for those who are not currently up to date on Redwood and would like to get caught up and to participate in this dress rehearsal. So yeah, Dan, do you want to add anything there?
Dan's not with us. He's over in the Evmos. I think he's running a validator on the Evmos launch. So
gotcha. Okay, cool.
Dan's in MIA, as I think some other folks who are oftentimes on the call are over there right now in the thick of it.
That makes sense. Yeah, cool. Well, we'll post in the validator channels for any validators that are interested in participating, and we'll make sure that all the questions are answered. And just take a quick look at the upgrade guide, and if you want to participate, we'll be reaching out today and deciding on a block height to do the upgrade, and we'll submit a proposal this afternoon. The idea is to submit a proposal this afternoon. A voting period is only 1 day on Redwood testnet, and then we'll plan the upgrade for Friday morning, midday. We'll get that sorted. So.
And all that coordination takes place over in the validator channel on Discord, right? That's
correct.
Cool. For folks who are tuning in. Okay. Mainnet upgrade, presuming that the proposal continues to pass, which I think it is both gone well beyond quorum and is currently passing at 100%, I think. So presuming that, we've got mainnet upgrade coming down the pike here on March 14th. Ryan, do you want to speak?
Yeah, just a quick note. The voting period will end on Friday before the weekend, so on March 11th, and then the actual upgrade will happen on the 14th. So if you want to make sure that you're all prepared and ready to go, participate in the dress rehearsal with Redwood testnet. Also, the upgrade is fairly straightforward and simple. If you have Cosmovisor already configured, all you're really doing is building the binary for the latest v3.0 version of Regen Ledger and adding that binary to Cosmovisor's upgrades folder. And we also included the option to enable auto download, which is not usually recommended for validators. It's better to build from source, but that is available as well. And then if you're building
available, but don't use it.
Yeah, the main idea there is that for people that are setting up a full node or something, they can use the auto download option, and it's not critical in that regard.
But don't use it in the upgrade if you're a validator. You should build from source and review that stuff. It's on you guys.
That is best practice. So that's clearly defined in the upgrade guide, and it's fairly straightforward in terms of what needs to happen for the upgrade. For those of you who have done upgrades before, this will be straightforward and easy.
Don't trust, verify. All right. Moving along. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so I had sort of mentioned, I had alluded to this earlier on in the call. One of the big reasons for this major 3.0 network upgrade that's underway is that we want to bring an to the Cosmos ecosystem, and we're going to do that as soon as we can. So we've been working, I've been dropping hints and speaking about this in different forums and with different people, but we're working with the Osmosis community. I expect to see a forum post and expect to start to see governance proposals go up about this to create a Regen NCT, an incentivized Regen NCT nature-based carbon trading pair on Osmosis. Hopefully there's going to be protocol owned liquidity from both the Osmosis community and the Regen community combining to create a nice deep pool of carbon liquidity that can become the backbone for the sort of regenerative finance economy in Cosmos. This will create an opportunity for people to easily purchase carbon and offset it. This will create the opportunity for people who would like to use these carbon assets for novel DeFi applications like collateralizing stablecoins or linking them with NFTs or other cool use cases to have a go-to place in Cosmos with nice deep liquidity. So that's what we're up to here. If you're interested in participating in this LP launch, the beginning, the UI for people to purchase eco credits, basket them and move them over isn't going to exist. So, let us know if you'd like to be participating. We can do an over-the-counter carbon transaction and get you a basket token, essentially a carbon token into your wallet preceding the launch if people are interested. So we're already sort of processing that in different places with different people, but wanted to make sure that folks knew that that was happening, and you're welcome to reach out to us and sort of pre-buy carbon if you're interested for this or other uses if you'd like. If you have other uses for an IBC carbon token, this might also be a good opportunity. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Will, who's the board member, president of the board over at Regen Foundation, to talk a little bit about some conversations we're having about upgrading our Regen token economics. And
yeah, thanks, Gregory. So I had worked on our initial token economics, which were ported from the Atom. So I think there's a few things here. One is there's kind of a trend in the DEX space of having there be external incentives, that DEXs have internal incentives in their own native token to encourage liquidity, because liquidity is the number one kind of determinant about how efficient trades will be on decentralized exchanges. The more liquidity there is, the lower the slippage. And so for people to be able to access and use our token, looks like there's some NCT regen questions. Oh, bootstrapping pool, I don't know. Maybe we come back to that question later. So liquidity is a good thing in regards to people being able to use and access the Regen token. We haven't had any external incentives. We did have a DAO to DAO transfer of Regen tokens over to Osmosis, and the Osmosis community has yet to decide what they're going to do with those, although they certainly could tie into some of the things that Gregory was just speaking to as far as helping to create NCT regen pools or other things like that. The conversation I'm opening up is about would it make sense for there to be a long-term token economics upgrade where some portion of newly emitted tokens are going into these external gauges. As so far, although there have been many external gauges that have been placed to incentivize liquidity, they're all limited in duration. They pull from a static pool, and because of that, there's kind of wild fluctuations that happen in price and also in total value locked because they're short-term things. So there's a lot to think through here. There's a kind of a number of tiers of complexity that this could take. It is reliant on the interchain accounts functionality that another team's working on right now, and there's a bunch of technical things here that are over my head, and I'll certainly need people's support thinking through exactly what this tech stack looks like and exactly what the kind of order of operations are to make this happen. But there's a Commonwealth discussion live. Please join in. I'll share in the chat here the link as well. And certainly if we have any time for questions at the end, feel free to ask.
Cool. Thanks, Will. All right, we're at 1:53. The rest of this is just sort of the the usual Regenerati news hour. Thursdays at 1600 UTC. Always fun, so come join us. We should have a great conversation this week. Just a few housekeeping bits on Discord. There's our market and liquidity report here. So it looks like $2 million trading volume and just a little short of $13 million of liquidity. Yeah, so I want to stop share and leave a little bit of space to review questions or comments. There's a lot. We went over a lot this week. I mean, that's usually how it goes. There's always so much going on, but specifically, this is a really big upgrade, and sort of we're launching a major product into the Interchain ecosystem. So if people have questions about that, let's dig in. No, the NCT region pool won't go through a liquidity bootstrapping and what has been referred to as an LBP, where you have sort of the reverse bonding curve Dutch auction price discovery thing. It's just going to launch at a price point. We're determining the price point before it launches. Basically, we're going to be taking the price of off-chain carbon, right? That these credit, because these credits are coming from a Vera registry that people go and they buy credits and they retire them. So we're going to be taking a sample from a set of brokers and setting the price based on that sort of like off-chain price, and then launching the trading pair with that price. So the price will be set by as it is sort of made, as the pool is made, and that'll happen in collaboration with the osmosis community, because hopefully, fingers crossed, and this all needs to go through governance. It's going to be lots of due process and communication, but the intention that's emerged amongst this sort of like multi-party conversation is that ideally osmosis is matching their region with carbon, and they'll be seeding the initial pool, and then we'll be following, and then other people will be following and building liquidity in that way.
That makes sense. Thanks. I also just had maybe a really quick question. Well, I guess it's like this new concept of projects and the IRI schema and standardization for the credit classes that you were talking about, Sam. That's pretty interesting. I was curious, where will that be? Like, where is that data going to be coming from, at least to start? Where are you envisioning that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, pretty much how it's working right now is with our first few credit classes. One is for, credits coming from Vera, the other is with our Come Plus Grassland. So, we're writing up our credit class, and essentially as like the credit class administrator or creator, you're kind of taking on what are the key pieces of information or the metadata associated with the credit batch, and the project that should be on chain. So, like when we're thinking about Vera credits, for instance, it's like, what methodology was used, what's the monitoring report, what's the verification report, and within that that metadata, what we're doing is we're creating a JSON LD file, where it's, you'd have like monitoring report and then a link to the monitoring report, verification, so on and so forth, using that to generate IRIs, and then ultimately kind of these JSON LD schemas will be validated using our shackle, graphs and validations, and that can all be found in that repo that I shared.
Cool. Thanks.
Does that make sense?
I need to dig in a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, we can talk on Discord about this a little bit more.
Cool.
Questions, comments, anybody else as we head towards the top of the hour? Concerns? Cool. Well, thanks everybody for taking a little time out of your day to do the news with us. Let us know if you've got feedback about how these calls go and how they can be more useful. And if you haven't voted already, please go do so on proposal 9. If you haven't already, please go dig into Will's forum post on token economics and share your thoughts, and stay tuned for Osmosis forum conversations about getting an NCT regen trading pair. We're going to need our regenerati to show up in force and communicate with the Osmosis community about the role of an interchain carbon credit, and really how advantageous it is for the Osmosis community to be the host of that liquidity and to have this experiment in protocol owned liquidity. So we have the core devs and a lot of the sort of like influencers in the community are excited about this, but the bulk of the community, as it's revealed to them, definitely getting all of us out there to communicate with folks and tell them why we're excited and why it might benefit them is definitely going to be part of this beautiful democratic protocol governance process that we're all on together. So cool. Well, thanks everybody for your time, and see you in a couple weeks. And in the meantime, see you out on the interwebs. So thanks.
Take
everybody.
care. Bye.
Thank
you.
Thanks, everyone.